Welcome back to the Geek Teacher. In this session we're going to continue working with iSquish, our simple little game. And in this one what we're going to do is make the picture move to a random location when we click on it. Now this is part of making a full-on game where the picture will move by itself, but this will help basically help us understand a couple of different concepts, and one of those is moving a picture within a form, so looking at widths and tops and lefts, and also looking at the random function. So to start with, we're going to talk about moving the picture. Now I've got my picture here, and it's a wonderful little picture, and I want to be able to move it to anywhere in the screen randomly. Now what we're going to be using is the top and left of our picture. So top is here and the left is here, and what that does is it has a pixel coordinate based on the parent container, which is the form. So if as we move it up and down, the top is increasing and decreasing. So from it's 0 at the top all the way down to the form height. So we can keep moving that down, and when we get it down there it will be the same as the form height. Now you will notice, however, that if we take it all the way down, it will disappear off the form, and that is not too cool because you can't click it if it's off the form. So not only does the form have a height, but so does the picture box, right? So what we can do is take the height of the picture box off the height of the form, and that will give us a boundary, a top boundary in which we can actually move it. So what that will do is it will mean that we can't send it off the bottom of the form, but what it will do is move to that location at most. Likewise, moving the left of the picture as we move across the form goes from 0 to the width of the form. So again, notice it can disappear off the side of the form if we let it go to the entire width of the form, but we're not going to. Just like with the top, what we can do is take the width of the picture off the width of the form, and that will give us this left boundary here. So we'll have a top boundary here and a left boundary here, and that means that we can move anywhere in this location and it will not disappear off the form, and that is really important to know. So we're going to be working with the top and left of the picture box to do that. So let's do that. Let's double click on our picture box and go into our code. So we're going to move it to move the left of the picture to a random spot, and then we're going to move the top of the picture to a random spot. Now I'm going to explain how this works initially. What we're going to do is we need to start the random number generator in Visual Basic. Visual Basic can generate random numbers, but to do so we need to start its generator, and to do that we type in randomize. Now you'll notice that comes up with the double brackets at the end. That means it's actually a function or a procedure, which is something that we can call, and it will run a whole heap of code in the background that we don't need to worry about and start the random number generator. So this is starting the random number generator. Does that create a random number for us? No, but it does let us create a random number. So what we're going to do, we're moving the pick squish dot left. Remembering we're moving the left of it so that we're moving it across the screen, across the form, and we're going to make that equal a random amount. Now let's talk about random. RND is what we use for random. Now that will create a random number, and it creates a random number between 0 and 1, but not including 1. It's all decimals, so it'll go from 0.00000000001 to 0.999999999. So it'll never actually equal 1, and because it's using decimals we can't actually use that as it is in our form. So what we do however, to make it actually reach proportion of our form width, we can times that by the width of the form. So random times the width of the form. Now we're not just going to use the width of the form, we're also going to take the width of the picture box off, but we're going to make it random times the form width to start with. And now to reference the form we use me. It actually talks about the class in which the code is getting called. Now the class that we're in, as you can see up here, is form main, so we're working with the form. So me.width will return the width of the form. And we're going to take the pick squish width off that so that we can get our nice little boundary that we have. And we're going to times that result by random to get our random amount. Now remember, this is a decimal, so that means that that'll include decimals as well. So we're then going to convert it to an integer. Now this actually doesn't convert the whole thing to an integer, but what int does, if I can hold that back over there, actually let's put that bracket in again. What int does is returns the integer portion of a number. So for example, if our width of the form is 100, this might be 99.99999, and int will return just the 99. It doesn't round it, it just takes the whole number portion of it back. So that will get us the whole number portion of that. So let's have a look at what we're doing there. Initially, just moving the left so you can see how it works. I click on that and it moves to a random left. Notice it's all at the same height because all we've done is work with the left. Notice it's not going off the form at all. Okay, so that gets us to move it to a random location. So we're using the R&D function there. Now likewise, we're going to do the same for the top. Now we've already called randomize, so we don't really need to do that again, but we do need to work with the top. So just like with the other one, we're going to times int random. We're going to times that by the form, so me.height minus picsquish.height, and that will get us the boundary for the top to move in. And again, remembering we're using int to just pull back the whole number portion. Now when we click it, you should notice that it moves to a random location. Now you will notice in this that it actually does go slightly off the form, and the reason for that is our code actually doesn't take into account the height of the title bar or this wonderful little side bit here. But you know what, it's not incredibly off it, so it's not that much of a problem. But notice what also happens when I move the form larger. It automatically resizes our boundary because every time we click on it, it's recalling this to fit the new form size. So now the size of the form is immaterial. What you will notice, however, is that the exit button hasn't moved, and that looks pretty ugly, so we'll fix that now. And I'm going to teach you a little thing, wonderful little property that is associated with pretty much any control that can be placed on a form, which will lock this to a particular place. Everything has it at the moment set by default to top and left. It's this anchor. So that means it's tied to the top and left at the moment. Let's have a look at the description that Visual Basic gives us, if I can. There you go. Anchor defines the edges of the container to which a certain control is bound. So at the moment it's bound to the top and the left, which means it's going to remain the same distance from the top and the left that it is at the moment, regardless of how we resize it. So we can change that and make that the top and the right, or the bottom and the right if we really wanted to, but I think top and right is fine, so it keeps in that same location regardless of the size. So let's see what happens there. What do you know? Something's happened. I've done something. There we go. I must have clicked too many. Let's unclick that. Top right. Press play. And away we go. Now, when I resize it, notice that the exit button moves. It moves with the side. Top, that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Neither does moving this one. It wouldn't have anyway, but when I move this, it stays at the same distance. And that's good to know. So that's part 2. In our next session, we're going to actually make the picture move by itself at its own pace. And to do that, we're going to use a timer. So join me next time for that. And we're one step closer to having a working pick squish. Stress less. Be ninja.